Here I am on the Mickelson Trail. Just came through that gate there, and the Salsa Cutthroat bike is parked under the old Highway 16 bridge, which is right above me. These are the supports for the bridge. It was replaced a few years ago. And heading down this trail, I am 46 miles into a 52-mile ride today on the Salsa Cutthroat. Might be able to see that in the camera here, can't tell. But this is the top end of the Sheep Canyon section of the trail, from about mile 7.5 to about mile 6. It's a super cool section of trail, and I just wanted to record this on the Osmo Pocket 3 here. I'm using the DJI Mic 2, just clipped to my chest mount camera strap here. And I got the little Dead Cat air muffler on there. And it seems to be working all right. But anyways, this section is downhill. It's been pretty breezy today. In my face, uphill, downhill, crosswind, tailwind, no wind. So it's all good today in April, and that's pretty much what you can expect. If you look off to each side here, probably see limestone there, and all these bushes are in bloom. I don't think they're choke cherries, some kind of crab apple or something like that, but the whole trail is fragrant from those blossoms. Makes it a wonderful day. Leaves are starting to come out. Cottonwoods over here. Bushes are a little behind, but that's pretty typical. And this is basically the highlight reel of this section of the trail between Minnekata and Edgemont. And I'm coming up to the Sheep Canyon trail stop, just right around the bend here. The camera will look off this direction here, the sheer cliffs and overhanging boulders. Just beautiful. And pointing back down the trail, here's the little trail stop for Sheep Canyon. I'm just going to ride on by today. The sign in there talks about the old trestle. And then the cliffs here on the left, you can see inscriptions, HJG from Philadelphia. Some other ones up here, people that carved their name in the sandstone. HJW. It's just a pretty cool thing, and extra nice in springtime. It's cool. I do have a bit of a headwind for a breeze here, which is not the most wonderful thing, but it's not sweltering hot or freezing cold either. This section of the trail is mostly downhill. You go through this, another cut in the limestone here. Old weathered rock. This was blasted through in the late 1800s, I believe. And this section here, starting about here, is where the No Man Trestle used to be. If you look down there, not sure if the camera will look, but it's 150 feet down. And when the trail was built initially, this was a wooden trestle across the Sheep Canyon here. Looking both sides, left and right. They built a wooden trestle from up here to back there. That's probably 500 yards long. It was, I don't know, like 7 tiers tall. And it got so rickety over the years that they called it the No Man Trestle, because they'd pull the locomotive. Here's some more initials inscribed in the rock along here. Anyway, so the trestle got rickety, and no engineer wanted to ride a locomotive over that trestle with it all wobbling and swaying in the breeze. So they'd stop the locomotive on one side of the trestle, and the brakeman would walk across the trestle. Then the engineer would put the locomotive in gear and send it across the trestle with no man running it. so that once it made it across, the engineer on the other side could, or the brakeman or whoever on the other side could jump in, stop the locomotive, and then the engineer could walk across the trestle without a locomotive or a heavy train on it. They'd both get back in the locomotive and off they'd go. It's a great story. I love that story. No man trestle. At one point it got too weak and rickety, I think in the 1950s. So they disassembled what was left of the rickety old trestle and made the huge dirt fill that I just rode across on a bike. Once you cross the no man trestle area, grades uphill. I passed the mile 7 marker back there a little ways. Might have seen it go by in the video. And there's a climb out here up to the 6 mile mark. And that's what that section looks like. I'm just going to leave the camera run as I climb this grade. Now I'm 47 miles in, I think. Not pedaling as spryly as I was this morning when I came through here. If you look off to the right, you can see the ripples in that stone there. That's from the ancient seabed. It's sandstone. That's the ripples on the bottom of what used to be the mid-continental or intercontinental waterway or seaway. It used to be here back a few minutes ago. Just a cool geologic feature there. And once you get up to the top of this rise here, we'll hit the 6 mile marker pretty soon. And at that point, the horizon is in Wyoming, not South Dakota. Again, this pesky headwind, now it's blown out of the south. 5 miles back is blown out of the north, right in my face. Here it is again. It's all right though, it's a nice breeze. Not hot, slightest bit cool. Now if that would just spin around to my back, I'd be a happy guy, but it doesn't happen too often. As you kind of top out here, look off in the distance that way, that's town of Edgemont. There's a water tower, that's where the trailhead is. And that is 5.5 miles from here, maybe 6. I don't think I passed the 6 mile marker yet, but that's about how far it is. The trail's kind of cool up here for down to the 4 mile marker. The 4 mile marker is at the bottom of this big hill. When you get there, it's just kind of a grind into Edgemont along the highway, the old railroad tracks. That's not worth shooting video of, but this part is. I just crested and I'm starting to pick up speed downhill again. This would have been the final grade into Edgemont or the first grade out of Edgemont on the way to Deadwood. And I think the wind was actually blowing the same way this morning when I came up this, so it was a tailwind going up a hill, so I shouldn't complain too much about a headwind going downhill, right? It's just pretty up here, this high sandstone plateau. Dry as a bone after a warm, dry winter. The magpie, plenty of them around today, along with the meadowlarks. Okay, here's mile 6. 6 miles to the trailhead. Downhill for the next 2 miles. And without this headwind, you can pick up a pretty good head of steam coming down here, which is always nice to finish up a ride downhill. Gravity working in your favor like it is now. at least to a degree. It'll counteract the wind. That is clearly not on my back. Yep, that's a nice section of trail. See if old Osmo will pan off for the horizon there. I don't know how to control that gimbal. I have a set of settings for that camera, for ideal settings for this kind of recording, but I left that on the bench at home. Einstein move there. So there's like a wearable mode, and I don't think I'm in wearable mode. I'm just in tilt locked. I'm going to stop here. I've never done this before. And shift down, turn around. I noticed on my climb up this hill this morning that there's a bunch of, well, not a bunch of, but a number of places where water from one side of the trail, the uphill side, has to drain across to the other side. And they built these drainages, drain culverts, so the railroad grade wouldn't wash out. And some of these, I've seen other ones in different parts of the trail. I just did some amazing stonework. And I can see where they chopped or blasted or pried this trench for the water to run down on this side. And then they built this culvert here. You see that? Those giant slabs of dense sandstone are supported by railroad tracks. Look at that. Look at those rails and the old stones. That's pretty cool. Never seen this before, but yeah, it's supported by chunks of railroad track and slabs of sandstone all the way through. I'm not sure how this is going to show up in the camera, but that's pretty cool. That rail says N-O-R-M company, something like that. I don't have my phone right to take a picture, but yeah, how cool is that? This goes through, you get heavy rain over here. You can wash through underneath there, but this set up, these old railroad tracks supported trains for from 1890 to 1980, 90 years, almost 100 years. And they support the Mickelson Trail since then. He's going to take a walk down this other side. Check out the boulder work on this side. A little bit of downhill grade, so water will run through there when the conditions are right. You can tell by the lichens on the sandstone, it's been there a while. There's a view from the other side. Huh. It's amazing that it's that thin and can support that much weight. A freight train parked on there and had a set of trucks right over. That's a lot of weight, but I guess the span is short enough where it never caved in. Pretty cool. Just a little bit of extra railroad history, and this is about the 5.5 mile mark. There's a few more of those going down the hill, but I don't think I'm going to stop for them today, because they're a bit more of a hike down, and I'm already pushing it, setting a goal for 52 miles for the ride out to the 26 mile marker and back. And I was able to stay with that goal. I left myself a couple of options. I could turn around at Minnekata, that'd be a 32-mile round trip, or if I turned around at Lean Quarry, that's at about mile 22 and a half. So I could have made this 32, 45, or 52. Went with the 52-mile option. Feeling pretty good about it, getting in condition for an upcoming longest bike ride of my life. This is the way to do it. You see trees split and piled up and cut alongside the trail. That's from a ridiculous windstorm last December. I don't know what the wind blew out here, but I bet it was 100 miles an hour or more. And some trees just couldn't stand up to it and gave out. I don't know if you can see this on the trail. There's all these squiggly lines, curved, raky lines, and the only thing I can attribute that to is turkeys doing their mating ritual dance. And it's a weak explanation. It's the only thing I can come up with. I know they strut around with their wings down and their wingtips dragging on the ground, and it could make those marks, but I've seen miles of that today. Never seen it before that I can remember. And I don't think it's any kind of trail maintenance thing because it's so irregular. Time will tell, I guess. Yeah, this is cool scenery with all the lichen limestone rocks on this ancient hillside. Scrubby pines. It's hard for them to grow up here. There's not much soil. It's always dry, always hot. I wonder they live at all, but there they are. Coming up on the 5-mile marker. On the downhill, there's a gate here that always kind of bums me out. You get up pedaling in high gear, come cruising in, and you gotta come to a full stop to get through the gate. Here's another one of the drainages on the right. That's got to have a pretty cool pile of rocks down there where that goes under. Mile 5, indeed. This gate happens to be an innie, not an outie. Another mile, cruise down to that 4-mile marker where I'll stop the video. Got them in my high range of gears and just kind of pedal it out. The wind seems to either be blocked or died down a little bit. So this will probably be the longest and fastest I'll get to ride on 52 miles today. Just feels good. Plus it's a welcome attribute because my legs are kind of toast. There's another big drainage on the right. All funnels down, goes under the railroad grade in one spot. There's probably some pretty cool stone and work down there. Another view off to Edgemont, Wyoming at least, out that way. All right, let's crank it up. 4-mile marker coming up quick. Probably the fastest mile from today's ride. Top gear, pedaling hard. Grade starts to flatten out. You can feel it load up on the calves and quads on the way down. But it's a blast. And this little turn here, actually it's a big turn, is kind of the transition point. Whether if you're heading south, it's like you're done riding the brakes hard, and if you're headed north, you better make sure you got good head of steam built up, or you'll die out halfway up the hill, I guess. And I'm talking like a train engineer, but I am clearly not one. You just can imagine back in the day when this was done with steam locomotives. There's a meadowlark. We've been singing all day long, but I only have my phone and this Osmo Pocket camera, and no pictures of the meadowlarks. They're pretty skittish. Take off long before you could ever get a shot. And I can see one up ahead, right on that 4-mile marker. Oh, that'd be so cool if it'd just stay there till we got there, wouldn't it? It's kind of slowing down. Oh, there he goes. But the trail from here is just flat, boring, and noisy from the road. So I'm gonna wind down this video, and it'll be fun to see what I get from this. But there you have it. Look around, 4-mile marker, and then there's a hill we just came down. It's from way up there on the horizon where all the trees are. Sheep Canyon is over that skyline there. It's kind of a flat plateau and then drops down into the canyon. But there it is, the highlight reel from the Minnekata to Edgemont section of the Mickelson Trail on this beautiful Sunday, April the 12th, 2026. Hope you enjoy it.